Now, Nick Cousins, by the way, has totally taken advantage of so many people this year. 3 or 4 hits from behind. He had a little incident with Branson a few weeks back. That game against the Coyotes the other day, Florida against the Coyotes, Nick Cousins took advantage again of another player who was in a vulnerable position, hit Halamaki from behind when he was on his knees. And not only did he do that, but Nick Cousins left his feet, which is now against the rules, to hit somebody when they're on their knees, when they are vulnerable, and to leave your feet. That is a dangerous hit, and that is a hit to injure. And then all of a sudden, here we go again. Here comes Jason Zucker in to protect his buddy, and he slams Nick Cousins from behind into the boards. It wasn't the hardest hit in the world, but Nick Cousins hits his face against the glass. You know what he does? He falls to the ice like he's dead. He falls to the ice. He lays flat on the ice, and it looked like they needed a stretcher and a body bag to get Nick Cousins off the ice. Nick Cousins ought to be ashamed of himself. He ought to be ashamed of himself for the way that he plays physically, and he ought to be ashamed of himself how he reacts to the retaliation of what he does. It's a joke.
I think I've beat Nick Cousins up before in the sense that sometimes I don't necessarily agree with how he plays. But I will tell you this, because he's 5'8", 5'9", 5'9", we'll say, and he's not any taller than me. For a guy to play in the National Hockey League at 5'9", 180 pounds, 75 pounds, I'll give him a lot of credit because he plays like he's 6'2". Now, saying that, he cannot do what he did when Zucker hits him. He hit Halamaki from behind. Halamaki got up. It was a dirty play by Cousins. By
the way, real quick, I think Halamaki got hit harder by Nick Cousins than Nick Cousins got hit by Jason Zucker, but yet Nick Cousins falls to the ice like he's dead.
That's my only problem, Nick. Every team would love to have a guy like him on your team. He plays with his 100% every night. His ball's on the line. But if you're going to do that and you're going to play that role and Zucker comes in and Jason Zucker's not a big guy, yeah, he gave you a good shot. You cannot lay there on the ice like you're dead. It's embarrassing. I agree with you, JR. You just can't do that. It makes you look like a little dirtball.
There's no accountability for these guys. They are able to run around and be idiots and hit from behind and hit other people dangerously and kind of bring a different kind of emotion or energy to the game by being reckless. Back in the 90s, if you were reckless like this, you would have to fight. You'd have to fight 3 or 4 times because there was not an instigator rule. There's now an instigator rule where guys are not held accountable for their stupidity. So is the instigator rule a bad rule to have because it allows guys like Nick Cousins to continue to do stupid things like this?
100%. You're absolutely right. It is. That's the problem. And you ask any tough guy that played in this league, from Stu Grimson to Kelly Chase to Joey Kosher, all those guys, they think the minor penalty for an instigator is a stupid penalty because, to your point, it lets a guy that's a little rat go, run around there, and he knows, like, yeah, you know what, somebody might jump me, but we're going to get a power play, and that guy's going to get 17 minutes, and because it's 2 for instigating, 5 for fighting, 10-minute misconduct, 17 minutes. So I agree. You know what? I get that we evolved as a society. We were trying to not make fighting as prevalent as it once was for whatever reason. I still like to watch it. But we've gone too far now, instituting rules like the instigator.